All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Making Sense. So with me today, I have Kerstyn Hendricks, who is our signature banking manager. And our special guest is Kevin Orm. So Kevin is the Director of Finance and Administration for the City of Hermantown. So thank you to the two of you for joining me. Kevin has been asking me 5 times before this started, why is there money on the table? So the money on the table, we call it a jargon jar. So this might not happen in this video, but if you start using words, or Kerstyn starts using words that the general public might not know, like if we're talking about like APY or jargony terms like that.
Like elemental P's.
Yes, we make you pay into the jar, but we provided you some money.
You didn't have to bring your own money.
And then we explain what it means. Because really the whole point of this podcast is, you know, banking can seem scary and unapproachable, and we're trying to make that not the case.
Banking is fun. Right?
Banking is
Same
fun.
as city government. It can
Yes.
scary and unapproachable.
Same.
Same.
It's pretty much the same industry, yeah.
Okay, so let's start out with one. My first question is, I hear people talk about at the bank, like they use the term municipalities, and I always am just like, yeah. But I don't really know what that means. So what does like municipality actually mean? And then like what does the City of Hermantown do? Like what are you like responsible for?
So municipality is just another name for city.
Of course we have to just make it.
Could it be like a town or like a village too?
Yeah, or township. Yeah, it depends.
So okay.
And I honestly don't know the difference between, because each state is different. Town versus city versus township. Each state has little differences there.
Okay.
Geography lesson too.
Yeah. So municipality is synonymous with basically like a city account.
And then there's villages in Wisconsin too.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway,
The city. What
City
do
of
they do?
Hermantown, we have 10,000 people.
Yeah.
A little over 10,000. So we provide all city services for the public. You might think of the roads. Obviously, that's in normal winters. We would be snow plowing the roads.
Yeah.
Maybe not this winter, but we take care of the roads. We take care of the parks. We take care of. But then there's other things you don't think of. All the things under the ground: the water, pipes, sewer. We take care of all that stuff as well.
Okay.
So it's interesting. When I got there, I didn't know all we did either, and I was just looking at how many assets do you think we have? Like, what's our assets for the city? Any idea?
Like,
Dollar-wise.
ooh.
Citywide. This is your test. Because I'm sure you went on our website and checked this out before we talked. Throw out a number.
50 million.
134 million.
Wow.
That's total assets for City of Hermantown.
And you're in charge of all of that.
And I'm in charge of that. Yeah.
So that's what you get to spend every year?
No, that's total assets. That's what we own. So
Okay.
it's a little bit of cash with the National Bank of Commerce. Obviously, you can know we have buildings and roads. That's an asset. But then there's all the sewer and water stuff under the ground that you don't even think about.
Fire
Yeah.
trucks?
Fire trucks, police cars.
Okay.
So vehicles, roads, water, sewer, parks.
That's a
Cash.
big number.
How long have you been there?
About 8 or 9 years.
And how many people does the city employ,
We have
roughly?
about 40 full-time, and then we recently took on the fire department, so we have a lot of on-call firefighters, so we have another 20, 30.
Okay.
So 70, 80 employees.
Wow.
Operating budget's 22 million or so per
Okay.
year. So
Okay.
That's what we bring in and spend without any special projects. That's just normal. Because city government, we have a bunch of funds, right? So it's kind of like a department store has different departments. So we have different funds that we keep track of. So we have a separate fund.
Yeah.
Each fund is separate for assets, liabilities, income, expenses. So we have a general fund, which is
Is that jargon?
we could talk about city levy. That would be a jargon of levy. But that's city.
Those are words we should.
Yeah,
Those are
I think we
bank
know those
jargon.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a bunch of different funds, and so we keep track of everything in each separate fund.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you meet Kerstyn?
I met Kerstyn fairly soon after I started the city. We were with a different bank at the time, but we decided that we wanted to put out an RFP. Now, I don't know if that's a jargon.
That is jargon.
Jargon.
Yeah. So, is that only a 25-cent jargon?
That's
or
only 25%.
maybe 75 cents?
Yeah.
RFP, so when we want a service, the city government will put out a request for proposal,
Yep.
RFP. So we'll solicit quotes or bids from different vendors. In this case, we were going to do a banking one, so we had different banks solicit, okay, this is what we want, services we want provided. Please tell us how you'll provide it and
Yeah.
what your cost is and all that stuff. And so we did that, and we ended up picking National Bank of Commerce, which was a lot better than Bank XYZ that we previously had. And shortly after that, I met Kerstyn 7-8 years ago when you were probably in your 20s and I was probably in my 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems right.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all right.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Do you have to put out RFPs like every so often, or how does that work? Or were you not happy with where you were, so that's why it went out?
It's our option. It's recommended you do it every so often to make sure you're using tax dollars wisely and getting a good deal for your services. But I was not happy with Bank XYZ, and I did want to solicit quotes from different banks, a lot of them that were local, and see what we could come up with. And thank goodness that we got National Bank of Commerce.
Yeah. You obviously don't need to tell us where you were before, but can you tell us just a little bit about why you weren't happy? Like, what were the problems? What were the pain points you had?
A lot of it was fees, because I want to maximize the tax dollars that the citizens provide the city. I looked back, the 4 years before we switched to National Bank of Commerce, we paid over $20,000 in banking fees. I actually looked this up the other day.
Wow.
We don't pay anything with National Bank of Commerce. It's all soft charges. We don't pay any fees, hard
Wow.
charges. So it saved us a ton of money. The bank was more impersonal, more of a national brand, and it was hard to get good customer service.
Yeah.
And so that was also a pain point, as you say.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Kerstyn, anything to add on that?
Well, I think it's really cool that, you're a community and we're a community bank, and like not only can we support each other like through banking, but like we have people that work here that live in Hermantown and play sports for Hermantown. We were just talking about the hockey game, and like we're like ingrained with each other, right? So we're able to help and sponsor those things that you talk about, the parks, and because Kevin has done his fiduciary responsibility, right, to make sure the dollars are working for him, we're able to take the money that he's, keeps with us and reinvest it into the community.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool because it is a partnership.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've got a relationship like that we've built.
So when the RFP went out and then they decided to pick NBC, were you the banker who kind of like facilitated that transition? Because that sounds like a lot of...
Yeah, that's a good question. That was a long time ago. And as Kevin said, we're not in our 20s and 30s anymore.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I was part of that. But, when there's such a large transition, we bring in a team. We want you to have the best resources from all of the different areas of the bank. So I was part of that team. But, Kevin's using... things from our Treasury Management platform and a lot of different banking services too, that we have some special things for municipalities going on to make sure his money's protected. So there's a group of people that help put everything together to make sure it's taken care of in every different vein.
How long does a transition like that take? Like moving from moving a city's accounts from one financial institution to the next, to a different one?
Well, probably 3 to 6 months is what off the top of my head. Because there's always a ramp down.
I was going to say 3 to 6 years.
Yeah. You're ramping down with one bank, and then you're ramping up, and then there's a learning curve to try to figure out, okay, how can we best do this? How can we best utilize what National Bank of Commerce has to offer us, whether it's a check scanning machine to scan all our utility payments that come in for water and sewer customers. What's the best way to utilize these? So yeah, probably even more than 3 to 6 months.
Well, and I mean, there's, when you're doing something like that, like, obviously you want to do it right the first time. And so, like, we're really hands-on, and even now, 8 years later, we're in constant contact, and there's things that have changed on the banking side that we're looking at. There's new things that get implemented. There's new staff that come on that we need to talk to. So, like, although it was a transition at one point, it's like an ongoing relationship because they're still learning, there's still changes, and so we're not just like hanging out to dry. We want to make sure that that's smooth continuously.
Yes. So Kerstyn said that you use other products like our Treasury Management. So do you deal with that team as well, or is Kerstyn kind of your go-to?
Kerstyn's my go-to.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, tell me what it's like. What is it like working with Kerstyn?
Kerstyn is, well, like she said, it's a partnership, right? So I actually have someone who I can rely on to help me in a timely fashion, super timely fashion. I don't think she ever takes off.
I don't think she does either.
I paid him to say that. I'm just kidding.
Literally, I could text her. I have this question, just a normal question, and I'll text her, and I love that because it's instantaneous responses. And she'll say, can I get back to you later? I'm literally floating down a river on an inner tube with a beverage in my hand. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah.
And for the 1 or 2 times in 5 years that she's not available because she's on the moon or somewhere. Then Samantha's great, and then she'll have Samantha help us out. So Kerstyn's my go-to. Samantha, they just help us out with anything, and it's so quick. Like it's rare to have someone you can count on to give you good service in a timely fashion in any, personally or professionally. And Kerstyn's one of those few people in my life I can count on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you. That's super nice. We understand the importance of, so much of what you're doing, other people are relying on you too, right? So, like, if he doesn't have someone to rely on, maybe you're letting, bills go unpaid or people, not getting their payroll. So we need to make sure that we're responsive and being able to act, quickly and have a good team of people that are taking care of them. And don't get me wrong, I do not know all the answers. I've got a great team of people here that I work with that I'm like, okay, we need to get someone up to Hermantown, check scanner's not working, or raise this, whatever it may be. Like, I'm just
you're the conduit.
Yes, I'm the quarterback. Or the ball guard. I don't know.
You're a great quarterback.
Kevin likes basketball, so I don't know what
point guard.
The point guard.
You're the point
She's
guard.
the point guard.
So I just gotta get the ball in the right spot.
Yeah.
You score when you need to, but you distribute to others and other.
And having that trust with like her too is huge because you're obviously a busy guy. So and you don't have the time to like look up all the answers when it comes to banking. So being able to like take what Kerstyn gives you and not have to like double check it or, like look into it. Like that's really solid to be able to, have that trust in her.
For sure. And she'll show up. I mean, she's willing to drive up, and if we need something signed or whatever, I mean, she'll get it done. She'll make it convenient for us instead of us having to drive to Hermantown branch or wherever, even though it's literally down the street on Maple Grove Road.
Yeah.
She'll still come to our office if we need it.
When you guys were looking at the RFPs, was it like a tough decision, or were you pretty clear that you wanted to go with NBC?
It wasn't. NBC was clearly ahead in a lot of areas.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so like other municipalities, that maybe wouldn't bank with us or bank with like maybe a national bank, what would your advice be to them?
Find someone.
Text Kerstyn.
Yeah. Text Kerstyn
My
first.
number's like scrolling. Don't do that.
24 hours, text Kerstyn.
Yeah.
No, find someone that's local that cares, because that's the bottom line. Someone who cares. Kerstyn cares. National Bank of Commerce cares, and they show that with their responsiveness, with their products, with their pricing. it's a partnership.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, another thing that's just become more and more evident over the course of time is having this relationship, like knowing your habits and how we communicate and how the bank accounts work is really a good protection against fraud too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much of that, and it's on the rise, but I know Kevin. I know what Kevin sounds like. I know Kevin's phone number. I know the kind of requests I'm going to be getting from him. And so that's just like having that relationship is like an added layer of security. Sure. Because, and then if something does happen, we can, take care of it quickly.
Yeah, because that's not what you're going to get, like, from a big bank.
Right.
Like, they don't know who Kevin is. They don't know how Kevin emails, what Kevin's requests are. So that's, and like you said, fraud is just, like, continuously
That's a good point.
On the rise.
We send a wire every January to Bond Trust Services for 3-point-something million, and then another one in July for 1-point-something million. And other than that, we're not doing many wires. I mean, you know that just from 7 years of doing it.
Right. So if all of a sudden I get something like NCAA basketball player, it's like, oh, that doesn't seem right.
Or does it? Kerstyn, what would your advice be for maybe like municipalities or cities that maybe are looking to switch banks but are like, oh man, we have a lot of, finances and things like weave together, and it just seems like that's a lot of work, so maybe we'll just sit where we're at.
I think the biggest thing is, although it is work, but it's worth it. And once you're somewhere that you're comfortable and that you trust, you're not going to have to continue making all of those changes and jumping, from account to account. So like take time to do your research and invest in like good products and good services and good people that are going to take care of you. But also, I think when people think of community banks, they might not think that we have the options that some like bigger box banks would have. And we've really invested a lot into our platforms, and we can compete with those things. I mean, from Positive Pay to the check scanners. I mean, we've got you set up on a lot of different stuff that, maybe 20 years ago we didn't have.
Yeah.
But I mean, the same types of things that those big banks are selling, we can help you with personal service, and we can come on site if something's not working,
right,
and help you out. So just really, if people are looking to switch, be open-minded and ask about those things and figure out what your pain points are to see how we can address them.
Yeah, like Kevin said too, like you were paying so much in fees, and that's just like
4 years.
Like you're not doing, like your city like any favors, like when so that is a big thing to look at. And I feel like too, what we've always said, or what we say as a community bank, like if other cities are banking with a community bank, that's great. Obviously we want to be their bank, but if you're banking with somebody in the community, that's wonderful. Where you really should reevaluate is if you are banking with a big box bank, because these dollars that we're investing are not staying here. So that's the big thing. Like, obviously we want to be your bank of choice, but if we're not, like, you got to pick, somebody else local.
Right. Where the money's staying in the community.
Yep.
And that's so important.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Yeah. Kevin, describe Kerstyn in one word.
Reliable.
Okay. Kerstyn,
Can I have a second word? Fun.
Yeah. Love it.
Oh,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
she is.
That's like, to me, the biggest compliment.
Yep,
is
you always say
about,
that.
like, okay, if you can make banking fun.
Yeah.
Because it's...
I cheated. I gave you 2 words.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Give me a word to describe Kevin.
Okay, I don't know how to put this in a word, but like...
Don't cheat.
Is this... I mean, grateful.
Yes.
Grateful.
I get
That's my word. And I feel appreciated.
Yeah.
That doesn't describe Kevin, but like we just have such a good relationship that I know, like, when I'm doing something to help, like it's not just falling on like, oh, great, like, whatever, it's done and over with. I know that, like,
He really appreciates it.
Right, like, it's a two-way street. We have good, like, it's easy to want to help Kevin.
Yes.
Because I know that he appreciates me.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you, Kerstyn. Thank you, Kevin, for joining. I know that these aren't always easy to do, and they might seem kind of nerve-wracking, but you both did really great, and I do appreciate both of you for coming on. So thank you.
Thank you. It was
Thank
fun.
you.
It was fun.
Should we do it again?
Sure.
Next week on Making Sense.
Yeah.
When we're in our 40s.
Yeah. A couple years.
A couple years.
All right, we will sign off, and we will see you next time. Thank you.